Have you? I think you've jammed, Nick.
Mick's frozen.
I think I'm rolling.
Hey, it's Nick Cave here.
And it's Mick Harvey over here. Nick's in London.
And you're locked down.
I'm in Melbourne. Yeah, we're in a lockdown because there's, like 50 cases or something a day.
Someone sneezed in a supermarket.
Stuff like that. Anyway, I'll just come round to the studio because it's around the corner. We're having a chat about the thing.
We're here to talk about the B-sides and Rarities record. And general chat, yeah? And we haven't... the last time we spoke was after Anita died.
Yeah, that'd be right, yeah.
We had a couple of calls. But the last time we were actually together was in Melbourne at Christmas at the pizza place with Anita's kids.
Leonardo's or whatever it's called in Carlton.
Which was very nice. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, it was good fun. It was nice.
Fuck, there's all these questions about the box set. So basically there's two lots of questions. One that are written by sensible people, which is our team, which are asking things about the B-sides box set, and the other is written by the fans.
Okay.
Questions written by the fans who've obviously taken a certain amount of glee, sort of evil glee, in difficult questions. So the second part is more interesting, I would say, than the first part, which is more just why did we release the... So I'll start off some of the... So why did we release the B-sides and Rarities record? What was the idea?
I think we just thought that there was a lot of stuff there and why not see if we could put it together? It wasn't really any more complex than that, was it?
Yeah, we did a lot of other stuff. We were always aware that a lot of really good songs never got on the record.
Yeah, sometimes. I mean, so some of the stuff's really good and some of the things were good enough to be on the album sometimes and sometimes not. Sometimes they were real B-sides, but we felt we had kind of carte blanche to just put it together and use the material we had that was like extra stuff.
If I remember rightly, I mean, you put it together, and if I remember rightly, it was pretty extensive. There wasn't a lot that didn't go on the record. Everything goes up there, warts and all kind of thing.
Yeah, if it happened, it goes on.
Let's talk about Tara Jane and her incredible playing frame.
I think it's a very bold move to include all of O'Malley's bar from the Radcliffe session. And that's sort of testament to the perversity of this box set in itself. That's one of the reasons I really like the box set. It's an incredibly bold record in that respect, and putting that on it's quite something. Do you remember that Mark Radcliffe session?
Yeah, I do. I'm pretty sure I had to play the piano because you just had the megaphone in your hand.
Yeah, no, I only had a megaphone. You would have played piano.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I really love that on the record. It's a nutty version of an already nutty song.
Oh my God, he shot him in the mother head.
I personally always loved this record. I really love the B-sides because they're forgotten songs, and they're not just forgotten to the world. I've forgotten about them as well. So there was just this sort of presentation of these beautiful, half-realised, sometimes wacky kind of songs, and there was something that was incredibly beautiful about that. There was a sort of melancholy aspect of it because they were all sort of lost. The songs that didn't pass muster. There was some songs like Come Into My Sleep and stuff like that, which are just amazing, I think.
Well, I always thought so. That's why I did a version of it, because I thought you'd lost it. And I thought that's a really fantastic song, and you just didn't, you kind of left it behind.
So why didn't it go on the record?
I don't know. That was on the Boatman's Call recordings, right?
Oh, okay. So it was too happy.
It was too up or something. And you were very much, understandably, because it was a very personal record, you were really controlling and wanted to control the content of that album quite strongly, I think.
Right.
I have to say, the rest of us didn't really get much of a... we got less say than normal about what should be on the record.
Yeah, well, but listening to it, I don't think it should have, even now.
No, it shouldn't have been on the Boatman's Call, no.
But it's an incredibly beautiful song. The vibes you play on that are fucking awesome. Or the xylophone, the vibes or whatever.
Cheers, man.
Now that mountains of meaningless words and oceans divide us, and we each have our own set of stars to comfort and guide us, and come into my sleep, come into my sleep, dry your eyes and do not weep, and come into my sleep.
But, you know, Little Empty Boat from those sessions was also a favourite of mine too. I always felt that it should have been the last track on Boatman's Call, actually, instead of Green Eyes.
Probably right. It's better than Green Eyes. Green Eyes was not the greatest song ever.
No, well, many of them aren't.
You found me at some party, you thought I'd understand.
Little Empty Boat would have been a beautiful little closer, like closing off the idea. And it kind of had this light feel about it. Maybe that's why you didn't go with it.
Yeah, it was comic. It was funny.
And you just didn't want any of that.
Well, let's not get miserable here. Let's not... Okay.
You didn't want any of that on the fucking album.
I've already been born once, I don't want to be born again.
I know we have a disagreement here already, and we haven't even got to the good stuff. But I would say Little Empty Boat sits better on the B-sides and Rarities record as just this gorgeous little jewel.
Exactly. In fact, I was surprised you agreed with me at first, but I think you've changed your mind already.
It's basically a comic song, and I think it may have reverberated backwards into the other songs in a not a helpful way.
Which is why you left it off the album. Yeah, I get it.
Anyway, we can't rewrite history, and on it goes.
My oar is broken, it don't roll, roll, roll. My little boat is empty, it don't go. And my oar is broken, it don't roll, roll, roll.
What would you like to talk? So questions.
So here are the fan questions. Here are the fan questions.
Okay, I think I'm ready.
I think they might have bandied together and put their heads together to think up what are the most uncomfortable questions that
Okay.
Well, I think they are probably under the misconception that there's some kind of animosity, and obviously that's actually not the case. And we get on very well, and we have got on very well for some time, and we see each other and
Sure.
enjoy each other's company, and so I think there's a little testiness under some of these.
Oh, hit me with them.
Okay.
Let's see where we go.
Here's a lovely one. What do you admire or did admire about each other's creative efforts?
Geez, I bothered staying in a band with you for 35 years. I guess I've always admired what you did. So
Well, I feel the same way too, and I was trying to think about it because I've read the questions and I was trying to think about it, and there was something about that idea of just rolling up your sleeves and doing the thing, no matter what it was, which I always found really amazing.
Oh, for me, all right, yeah. Well,
For you, of just fucking doing it, right?
Well, I always would just get chucked the one like, someone has to play that, so it'd be me.
Yeah.
I think I mostly kind of enjoyed that in a way, although it was quite confronting sometimes. But
There was a sort of shortcut to the realization of the ideas that I found really impressive. My ideas were often fractured, so there was a kind of pulling together of those threads that was kind of amazing, I always thought.
I had a lot of belief in you.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that. I actually do really appreciate that.
The fellas I knew must all miss me guess I better come clean. I'm a sweating it out in the boob, me boys, an unpaying guest of the Queen. This prison life sure suits me fine. I lead a decent life. Ella's me days are organized. Outside it's nothing but strife. But you dream of blondes and you dream of beer, and life gets terribly stale. It's dead in the morgue, but it's deader in here. There's no night out in the jail. There's no night out in the jail.
What else we got here?
Yeah, you're the quiz master. Ball's in your court. I've got no influence whatsoever.
What's the best memory you have of being in each other's company? I can answer that one. This is not by far the best moment, but it is a testament to many things about your character that I valued. I was in jail in New York. I'd been picked up and busted, and I was in jail for a couple of days.
Yeah.
And I think I missed the gig because I was in jail. Is that right?
I think the gig was cancelled, yeah, because you weren't...
We just played Iceland and arrived in New York.
Yep.
And I got dropped off the bus and went and scored and got busted, and the police caught me and they put me in jail for 2 days. And
Yep.
And no one knew where I was because we were staying at the Iroquois Hotel, and I was given one phone call, and I said, I want to ring the Iroquois Hotel. And they said, how do you spell that? And I couldn't spell it. So I didn't get my phone call. So I was never able to alert the band as to, it's a difficult word. It's a difficult word to spell. And especially when you're in a cage full of like 20 other reprobates. Anyway, what happened was that no one knew where I was, I guess, and I missed the gig. And you rang around all the hospitals, I think, and police stations or whatever. Somebody did. Anyway, it was a pretty bleak time in the jail, and then you arrived at the jail and you had a carton of cigarettes. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
And you gave me this carton of cigarettes, and it was like the best thing. I'll never forget that, and that you found me and you bought me a carton of cigarettes. Thank you.
That's okay. I didn't know what else to bring you. Flowers didn't seem appropriate.
And actually, I had the cigarettes, and I was in a cage full of a lot of people. And I had this carton of cigarettes under my arm, and someone came up and said, "Can I have a cigarette, mate?" And I'm like, "Yeah, sure." And this other guy came up and said, "You never do that, never do that." And I'm like, "Do what?" And he goes, "You have to sell the cigarettes." and I'm like, well, "Why?" Because you'll get no respect, man. You know.
Right,
like,
right.
Okay. So the next person came up, and I said, "Yeah, it's $1." And they went, "Oh, all right." And then I just sat there handing out cigarettes and getting $1 for each cigarette. And I was like the king of the cage. So thank you again.
Where's my cut?
Yeah, exactly. That's my best memory of you.
Okay, well, I'm not sure that that's my best memory of you. So there you go. So next question.
They're difficult. They're difficult, these questions.
No, I'd have to think about that. I'll leave it with me, and I'll
And there's so many.
Yeah, well, there are a lot of good memories. Yeah, actually, of course there are. I don't know. I could tell. Well, okay, so you really want? Shall I go? I remember this incident. There was this incident on the bus heading down. I don't know. It's heading down to Spain or something, and the brakes got slammed on really hard, and I actually really smashed into this petition thing, and actually it really fucking hurt. Like I hurt my head and the shoulder and stuff, and you laughed at me, like really kind of ridiculed me for it. And so I picked up this big book and smashed you over the head. And then you just went, "You fucking," and just turned around, just ponked me right on the nose. And I was really pissed off anyway. And then we sort of pulled over into some truck stop or something about 10 minutes later, and went into the men's room and you kind of went, "Are you okay?" And I went, "Yeah, it's okay." And we just kind of had a laugh about it and went, "Oh, fucking forget it, don't worry." We got back on the bus and I think Anita was pissed off at me for about 3 weeks. He's just out of the clinic and he's going to go all this sort of shit, and she just gave me hell for about 3 weeks about it. And we'd kind of made up about 10 minutes later.
Well, I actually thought that the reason you hit me over the head with the book, which was, it was a big anthology of hits from the 60s.
Big book.
Was that I'd spent like something like 7 hours trying to work out White a Shade of Pale on the guitar, and it had just gotten...
That's your memory.
It had all just gotten too much. That's my memory of it. I don't remember the bit of you falling into the wall and me laughing.
Maybe you didn't realise I'd hurt myself.
No, I didn't. I just remember innocently, quietly playing the guitar.
And suddenly you were whacked over.
Play White a Shade of Pale, and then you walked up with a giant book and smacked me over the head. That's how I saw it. But that's beautiful. That's nice. That's a nice story.
That was a very, very rare occasion where there was a kind of angry exchange like that between us. It's very uncommon.
Yeah, we rarely hit each other.
And considering all the stuff that we went through together, that's kind of pretty amazing in itself too, really.
Didn't you punch me on stage once?
Well, look, I've always heard that, but I just have no memory of that at all.
I thought you punched me over on stage, like knock me down,
I've heard this over the years. This would come out that I'd punched you on stage, and I was just thinking, I don't remember doing that at all. I've never remembered doing that.
Such a long way from home, just me and is in the gutter. And all my plans are flushed down the drain. I wander lonely as a cloud over her memories and her mind. Then I lie down in the bitter gutter.
Next difficult question. What's the next question? Come on.
There's another one. I'd like to know... Fucking Jesus.
I'd like to know Jesus too, but
I'd like to know whether, looking back, either one of you would have done things differently in 1983 when the birthday party was dissolving, or 2009 when Mick was leaving the Seeds. And a lot of fans were curious to know how they view the band's split in hindsight, any regrets, or do both feel like it had to happen?
Well,
seeing I answered the last one, you can answer that one.
Well, I think both on both occasions it was kind of me who left the band.
Yeah.
And on both occasions, I think probably shortly after I left the band, you would have come round to the realisation that it was a good idea for different reasons on the two occasions. I'm guessing there. I certainly, with the birthday party, I mean, I have no regrets about the birthday party finishing because it had kind of run its course and we weren't, you and Roland really weren't communicating anymore, and that was kind of hopeless. So
yeah,
there wasn't really any way for that to continue. So remarkably, we just kind of continued in a different form anyway. So I certainly don't regret the birth. It's a shame we couldn't or didn't do more, but it's just, that's just what's there. So you can't regret that. I think the volume of work and what we did was kind of really amazing. And with the 2009 thing, it's quite a different thing. I think it's just the years of me being in Australia and through that decade, there'd just been so many different things going on, and I just wasn't around as much anymore. And I think my influence over, or my the weight of my opinion in the Bad Seeds started being like a thing that was at odds with the way the other things you were doing were working. It started being out of balance And when things get out of balance, that's just where it goes. So it was kind of a little bit unpleasant there for a little while between us.
Yeah.
When that kind of blew up, but it was just something that needed to change, and I think it's really good. I'm not in the band, incorporated deep in that band the way I was. Now I couldn't keep going like that.
Yeah. That seems fair enough to me. With a birthday party, it felt like a kind of rational decision in a very irrational time.
That was my role.
It was probably a welcome and clear-sighted decision, because when it happened, it was a complete surprise to me. I remember that when you called and sort of said that we should break up the birthday party, if that's what happened.
Sort of.
It was a shock, in that it had never occurred to me. But of course, it was the right thing to do. It was just a time where such sort of mammoth decisions, for me personally, were simply beyond me. It was you just drifted along with whatever was going on,
I actually think the first conversation we had about it, when I called you up and talked about it, like in early '83, you initially actually understood the idea really well. I think it might have been subsequently in different states of mind that you may have been in across the next few months that you started finding it harder to process or make sense of, because the next thing maybe seemed unimaginable.
Yeah, that's right.
Because we'd just been doing the band since school and effectively, and it was, just it was a big thing to do. I didn't find it daunting at all for some reason. I was just ready to go with anything. I don't know why I felt like that. I should have been terrified as well,
Well, I think you could like play instruments and stuff like that. So there was always a job for you somewhere.
Get out of here. Yeah, no, that's not right. Anyway, but the 2009 one was quite a different. Me leaving the Bad Seeds was quite a different thing. But I do miss being in the Bad Seeds. It's kind of a great thing to be in a band like the Bad Seeds. It's really exciting, and it's a great ongoing project to be connected with.
Yeah.
But any time where I see that you're back out on tour, and I'm like, I just think, I'm really glad I'm not there. I'm really glad I'm at home doing my stuff. I really am. I've always just thought, it's the right. I shouldn't be there. There's things about it that I wouldn't be enjoying the same way anymore. So I'd rather not have that negative experience.
It's a very different thing. I mean, it's completely changed, and in the nature of a band anyway, it needs to sort of regenerate and refresh itself, and it always has. It always did with the Bad Seeds anyway,
Yeah. Very slowly sometimes, but yeah, it does. It does ultimately, and I think that was again, I just felt like I was the one that was maybe kind of in the way.
I can't speak to that particularly. I just think.
Well, that's how I was made. That's how I felt, or how I felt I was made to feel, and whether I was right about that or not is another question.
Yeah.
You had misgivings about stuff, and you were kind of something. I don't think you knew how to go about what you wanted to achieve with how you were handling me.
It got a bit like that.
I did feel a bit hurt and like scapegoated and stuff. That's how I kind of felt, and I felt like I needed to get out of the way.
Yeah.
And whether that's true or whether I was correct or whether I'd got stuff wrong, that's another question entirely. But
yeah, it's difficult. It's difficult to say really, because things just move on and become different things.
That's right.
In fact, it's changing all the time. Even now, it's not like we've landed.
Yeah, quite a lot
somewhere.
Well, people do question what's. I hear that kind of question. Well, it's not even like Ghosteen. People saying it's not even a Bad Seeds album. Things like that. That it's just a Nick Cave album and all those sorts of questions, and which whatever. That's certainly not something I'm going to speak to.
Yeah, I mean, they could say that about, Boatman's Call or something too,
Exactly.
Last night my kisses were banked in black hair. In my bed, my lover, her hair was midnight black. And all her mystery dwelled within her black hair. Her black hair framed a happy heart-shaped face.
Glad we got that one out of the way. That was pretty good. So what's the next question?
How do each of you view the other's work in the years since Mick left?
That's a tough one.
I have to say, I listened to Waves of Anzac.
Oh, yeah.
That's fucking awesome.
Oh, cheers. Thanks, Nick.
No, really, it's really, it's incredibly beautiful.
You know, but I wouldn't imagine you've listened to all of my stuff in great detail, so I wouldn't expect you to kind of give a detailed appraisal of...
But I don't listen to music very much at all. I haven't really for a long time, so I don't sit down and listen to people's records, but I do other things, ceramics and stuff like that, where I listen to music that's not rock music and it's not vocal-orientated music, like Eno and Harold Budd and stuff like that. And the Anzac record really fits into that in a really beautiful way. So
No, that's nice.
It's a lovely record.
And, you know, obviously I've listened to the Bad Seed stuff that's come out, and I find some of it really amazing. I think it's fantastic that the band's continued. I really felt where we'd gotten to with Dig Lazarus Dig was a bit of a dead end. The direction didn't seem to be...
No, I agree.
There didn't seem to be a particular direction there for the Bad Seeds.
On that particular record?
Yeah, it seemed like the things that were really actually traditional sounding Bad Seeds things were pushed to the back of the record too, and the things that were less like that were put up the front regardless of whether they were the better things or not. And I just didn't really feel that connected with the process in a way with that record. And you know, when I heard Push the Sky Away, I just thought, well, that's great. It's like riskier. It was going into a different, more dangerous place again with what was possible, and I thought that was brilliant. So I just thought, well, if me leaving the band's helped facilitate that or bring that on.
Yeah, I agree. That the Dig Lazarus Dig record's it wasn't our finest. I don't think we ever play anything from that record live. It's not something we go back to for some reason. I don't know.
There's some really, Night of the Lotus Eaters and some of those things. There's some really great stuff on there. But, you know, Call Upon the Author and...
Oh, that's good. Fuck, I have to play that song again. Forgot about that one. Okay. If Mick wrote into the Red Hand files, what would he ask?
Well, that's a question. Maybe it's someone who imagines we don't talk, that I have some burning question that I want to... So, actually, I know. I know what I'd ask you on the Red Hand files. How do you feel about Mark Mordew's books?
Oh, how do I feel about that book?
And have you read it?
I wasn't going to read it. I tried to stop him from writing the biography because it just felt like so much had happened. He hadn't kept up with events, you know, and that did come out, even though I did try and stop that book. And I started reading it and quite liked it, you know, and I was interested in the stuff about Wangaratta because he interviewed a whole lot of my old friends from when I was really small, you know, and it was kind of interesting to see what they'd become and what their opinions were about things. And then there was the stuff about my father's death, which was interesting to read because I just had a sort of an unexamined memory of his death. That's something that had just been told to me by my, you know, they just sort of heard at the time, and that's the accepted story for me. And I never really questioned that. And he looked into that in quite a lot of detail, and it was very different than I imagined it to be. So that was kind of interesting too. I thought the stuff in Melbourne, I don't know, I mean, you'd have to be a real fan to find that particularly interesting. I thought it was an interesting time. It was a really creative time, but it was a very dark time too for a lot of people. It just could be handled in a more interesting way. But largely I was happy with Mark's book, you know.
I see trees leaves of green, red roses too. I watch them bloom for me and you, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world.
All right, I got another question.
Okay.
What's something you have each learned from the other? I can answer that though. I think I can answer that. I've got something that I really want to thank you for. Actually, was that you taught me how to cheat a G chord by flipping your thumb over the top and blocking the A string. Then I had two chords. Then I could go from E minor to G, and all sorts of things opened up because of that. So there you go. Thank you for that. There were, of course, many other things.
I suppose that just what you taught me was about how important the songwriter is in the whole process. So thanks for being there to be the fucking songwriter.
Oh, that's very kind of you.
I wouldn't have been in a band with a really good songwriter, so I would have been fucked.
And I wouldn't have had anyone to be able to tell me what those songs were, so it wouldn't have worked out on my end either. So.
Oh, you would have gotten somewhere with it.
Yeah, but I never particularly wanted to, my ambition wasn't to be a musician as such. I don't think so. It's that there was a band there that made it go. If it was me having to get a band together myself, I wouldn't have done it, because I was more interested in doing something else. So I may have just been some sad fuck with a paintbrush painting houses.
Was that the question? What was that question anyway?
That was, of course, what we learned from each other. But I mean, it's just a difficult question because I learned so much from you. I mean, I don't know about learning it from you, but we learned stuff together. We learned stuff how to make music together, right?
Yeah, it's just...
I think it's fair to say our lives would be immeasurably different, completely different. We've impacted enormously on each other's lives.
When I get home, I'm gonna clean up my house. When I get home, I'm gonna kick out that mouse. When I get home, I'm gonna put things in order. But right now, I am a roaming.
All right, will you ever work together again?
Oh, maybe. I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't...
I would say that remains to be seen. Who knows? I'm not adverse to the idea.
I think it would have to be the right situation. I mean,
Situation. It would have to be the right situation.
At the moment, I'd think it's probably, you don't need me around, or it probably wouldn't be practical, or I wouldn't be the right person or something. I'm not sure.
In my view, the one thing I've learned about is that you can't really second guess this band in a way, and it's still an absolute mystery as to what happens next anyway. And right now I haven't got an idea in my mind what would happen next with a new record, especially with the Bad Seeds in the state that they are in, and the world. The state of the world now, it simply means the Bad Seeds can't function as a band, even if we wanted to. So that's one of the reasons why I made a record, just the record with Warren recently. So you simply can't second guess things in these things. So to answer that question would be certainly not adverse to the idea, I would say.
But I don't see why, it might happen.
Yeah, I agree. Who knows?
I love you,
I love you too.
I love your work.
Now the stars, they are all angled wrong, and the sun and the moon refuse to burn. But I remember a message in a demon's hand. Dread the passage of Jesus, for he does not return. He does not return. He does not return.
That's it, really. Do we miss each other?
Well, yeah, in some ways, sort of.
In some ways too. Yeah, I'm not, sitting here wringing my hands about it. But I really love to see you when I come to Australia, and it's always a pleasure.
We have our families and stuff. We have our families and stuff. I don't miss a lot of people. There's so much to do in one's life, and people are there if you kind of need to call on them, and it's fine.
That's right.
So I don't really feel like that. No, I don't miss you.
Well, I don't miss you either.
Yeah, that's nice.
No, but
okay.
But it's lovely to talk to you. I'm glad we've cleared the air publicly.
Yeah, it's like a therapy session.
Yeah.